Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FreshBooks. Go to freshbooks.com/Arel. In the How Did You Hear About Us section, put The Art of Likeability. You'll get 30 free days of their awesome invoicing, expense tracking, and get paid faster software.
Welcome to The Art of Likeability, ranked one of the top podcasts in the world. In this podcast, you'll discover how to leverage likability to build stronger relationships, lead more efficiently, close more sales, and keep customers happy while increasing success in your professional and personal life. Let's jump in with your host, Arel Moody.
What's going on, Art of Likeability family? Arel Moody here, your host of the Art of Likeability podcast, where you learn the most incredible strategies for building relationships, connecting with people, and digging deeper into the well of awesome that is inside of you. Right now, there is a well filled with so much awesome sauce that if you dipped a metaphorical bucket in it, you could never pull out all of the awesome sauce that was contained within inside of you. I believe that to be true, and I believe the more you listen to this podcast, the more that well overfloweth with the awesome sauce. So I'm excited to share with you today, this week's episode, because I think it's really going to be really important. For some reason, this has been in my head. I've been thinking about it, and I was like, should I do an episode about this idea? And then I was like, yeah, I should. I really, really should. Because I have a funny feeling that there's someone listening right now, and I hope it's you, that needs to hear this specifically. I want to tell you about this concept that I want you to apply this week. I'm going to tell you it based on a story that was told to me. So some years ago, I went on a trip to Israel, and I was walking through the marketplace, and I saw this sign on the outside of a jewelry store that said, "Come in for a free story." And I was like, well, who am I to turn down a free story? I was intrigued, right? So I said, okay. So I went into the shop, and there was no one in the shop, and it felt like one of those eerie movies, right? And this guy comes from behind this beaded door, those beads that hang vertically on strings. And he comes through the beads, and I said, I saw there was a sign for a free story. I'd like to hear your free story. He said, great, I'm going to tell you my story. And then he goes on to tell a story about this king that had this riddle stuck in his head. And the riddle was, what is one phrase that when I'm sad, it will make me happy, and when I'm happy, it'll make me sad? What's the one phrase? And he was just racking his brain over, what is this one phrase? The exact same phrase, when I'm sad, will make me happy, but when I'm happy, it'll make me sad. What is it? What could it be? So he racked his brain about it, and then finally, someone came to solve the riddle. And the person who solved the riddle said, I'll tell you what the riddle is. And they actually inscribed it into the inside of a ring, and they gave the ring to the king. And the king said, the ring is the answer? He said, no, there's an inscription in the ring. So the king took off the ring and looked on the inside of it and read this line, and then started crying hysterically. And then after a few moments, he read it again, and he stopped crying and he started smiling. And he put the ring on, and he was like, this is the sentence I've been looking for. So what is that sentence? You may be asking. Well, the sentence is a very simple phrase, but it has a very powerful meaning to it that I want you to start looking at how this applies to your life. And that phrase was simply, this too shall pass. So if you're in a really sad point in your life, just remember, you're not going to stay sad forever. If you just cried, right? So imagine a friend came over and they were upset about something, and they were bawling their eyes out, crying, water flows just coming out like a fire hydrant from their tear ducts, right? And all you did was just sit in the room with them. What is eventually going to happen? Well, they're going to calm down. There's no one who's crying hysterically all the time. Eventually, this too shall pass. Now, if you're really excited and happy and you're like smiling and it's like the best time, you don't stay happy and smiling the entire time. So when you're in that happy and smiling time, if you realize this too shall pass, you know you won't always be in that forever. And that can make you sad. So that concept is actually really powerful because when you start looking at your life, you start realizing that these really tough times that you're in, when you're in them, and you may be going through a very, very tough time right now. You could be going through a divorce. You could be going through an injury. You may be going through a illness. You may be going through a job uncertainty. You may be going through a lot of things. Some things that maybe I can't even imagine. And it's a struggle that you're dealing with personally. Maybe it's something that some people know about. Maybe it's something no one knows about. But whatever it is, this too shall pass. The challenge is that when we're really low, we think that low point is just what our new normal is going to be. We go, well, I got to get used to this new normal, this new bad, whatever it is. But the truth is, no matter what it is, it'll pass. You know, there's a quote that I heard that I liked that said, in the end, everything will be okay. So if right now it's not okay, then don't worry because it's not the end. And I really liked it because whatever happens, it could be something horrific, like somebody loses their ability to walk. So they went a period of time in their life with the ability to walk, and then maybe an accident occurred and they no longer can walk. And there's going to be a level of grieving and a level of sadness, but after a while, it'll pass. There are tons of people who are completely mobile and active who are handicapped. They do amazing things and they live a very full life. And that sadness that was once there gets replaced with a new sense of hope. Now, it doesn't happen for everyone, of course. So you got to ask yourself, well, what's the difference? What's the difference between the person who, in this analogy, and like, God forbid it happens, and I hope it doesn't, but if someone would lose their ability to walk and then somebody learns and retrains and figures out all the steps they need to take, and they can play basketball and they can drive a car and they can go places, and obviously it's not 100% the same by no means, and no means am I saying it's the same, but there are tons of people. You go on YouTube and you can just see these incredible inspirational stories of people who live a really, really full life, bodybuilders and folks like that. What's the difference between the two? The person who maybe gets into a deep, dark psychological cave of sadness. Well, they just realize that this too shall pass. Now, we're humans. So what's interesting about that is we have the ability to stay in things very long. And we actually could start getting ourselves out of it, but then we put ourselves right back into it. So if you realize that this too shall pass, whatever it is, you won't get so upset. You won't be so down when things are low. And you also won't get too high when things are good. Because it's also like, oh man, there's nothing worse than like getting really excited about something and then have your feet swept out from under you and then something calamity hits. I remember when I very first started my entrepreneurial journeys, I had no idea what I was doing, right? Like I was just, I was all over the place and I didn't know how to keep anything organized. Like, that's why like I'm actually a big fan of the FreshBooks that we're partnered with. You go to freshbooks.com/Arel and we got 30-day free trial of their invoicing software because this is the kind of stuff I wish I had back in the day. I was sending out stuff to people and I was doing it on Excel spreadsheets and I wasn't organized. I was forgetting things and then people wouldn't pay and I wouldn't even know and I'd have these bills. I'm like, I'm supposed to have more revenue. Oh my gosh, it's been like 4 months and this person hasn't paid. Is it too late for me to like reach out? Like this, happened. And it was like, well, it's been so long, but they didn't pay me. Do they owe me? And it's this frustrating thing where if I had a system like the FreshBooks, it would be different. So that's why I really encourage folks to like, I talk about it because I believe in it, right? So like get a system. But in the beginning, I thought my entrepreneurial journey was just miserable. Like I was never going to succeed. It was just the darkest place. And I remember spending time laying on the floor when I very, very first started my business. There was this particular time I remember laying on the floor and just crying, like wailing. And it was like dry tears. I didn't really have tears coming down my face because like I didn't even have enough emotional strength to produce tears. I don't know if you've ever been that low. I was just laying on the floor, and I remember at the time I had a pug, and my dog was the only one home, and I like saw him, and he like looked over at me and he sniffed me, and I grabbed him to bring him close to me so I could like snuggle him and feel his warmth and love. And he was like, "Get off of me," and he like left, and it was like such a horrific moment for me because I was like, even my dog doesn't respect me, you know? And I was really low. And I was just numb and just in a fetal position, laying on the floor, just saying, praying to God, saying, God, why are you doing this to me? I'm a good person. Why am I in such debt? Why do I keep making bad mistakes? Why am I not organized? Why do I feel like there's a million things that I don't know how to do right that I'm supposed to know how to do right and I don't know how to do it right? And it was a bad process. But this too shall pass. And it did pass. And I can tell you from those dark periods, you can only appreciate the dark periods when you're on the other side with the light. And I can tell you through that experience, it humbled me incredibly. If I would have became successful when I very, very first started my entrepreneurial journey, I would have been a jerk. I can see that now. I would have been a egotistical, snotty, jerky. I mean, I used to think of stupid things, man. Like, oh, I'm gonna make $1 million, and I'm gonna like do these social psychological experiments where I'll like walk up to people, tap them on the shoulder, smack them in the face, and then like throw $5,000 at them and see what they would do. Like that's the kind of stuff. It was like a really childish, immature way of thinking. And I just thought, wow, I'm better than everyone else. I'm entrepreneurial. I have these skill sets. I'm destined to be successful. And other people aren't as good as me. Like it was a really, I can look back at it and be really kind of ashamed with how I thought. And failing so badly humbled me incredibly. So much that I do my best to hold on to and appreciate all the success that I've had of, building multiple 6 and 7 figure businesses, to traveling and speaking, this podcast being listened to in over 171 countries, being a best-selling author. I just gave my 3rd TEDx talk, traveled to over 48 out of the 50 states to speak. And, I featured in magazines named Inc. Magazine 30 Under 30 of top entrepreneurs in the country, a lot of things. And honestly, none of it's wasted on me because I realized that this too shall pass, that, this high that I feel from whatever, I have to work really hard on the next one because no matter how excited I am about an award, the award comes and goes. The excitement's there for a little while and it's gone. But the lesson I learned from that down period has stayed with me, and I hope it stays with me indefinitely. Just being humble, appreciative. Like, when I get messages from folks like you, I really encourage you. I know that I say it every episode, and some of you take me up on it, and some of you don't, reach out, leave an iTunes review, a 5-star review. I really do read every single one, send a tweet or a LinkedIn message or an email. I really value them, and I don't take them lightly. Like when people reach out and say, yo, I got a raise, or, hey, I used your interview manual and I got a job, and if you don't know about the interview manual, you could just go to dreamjob.artoflikability.com. We have a really amazing system to help people just land their interview, get their dream job. And I just love seeing people telling me like, I got the job. It's amazing. Thank you. Or hearing people say, I had my annual review, my quarterly review, and I've never had people rate me so highly, and everyone says they love being around me, and I know it's because of the stuff we're doing from this podcast. Like, man, none of that stuff is wasted on me. I can never hear it enough. I never walk around and go, oh yeah, of course I'm great. My podcast is amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm so good. Like, I'm just, I'm humbled by it, and I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you listening. I'm grateful for you taking action because you get to impact people I'm never gonna meet. You living your life the way you're living it, applying these principles, the world becomes better. We all win. You help people, and I'm never going to see the people you're going to meet, Maybe we'll have some kind of Venn diagram crossover, but for the most part, you're going to be impacting people I'll never meet. How beautiful is that? Like, to know that we can have this kind of impact. And it's not lost on me. So even though I was in that dark, horrific place, this too shall pass. I'm not in that place anymore. Thank God, and hopefully I don't go there again. When everything starts going really well, I get really excited about it, really happy. And sometimes, I get brought down to earth. I started thinking it's always going to be good. I've figured it out. I've hit this groove. I know how everything is going to go. And then, it doesn't necessarily always go as well as I think it will. So this too shall pass. Maybe you made a bad mistake. Maybe you got made fun of. Maybe you broke up with someone and it hurt your heart. Maybe you got fired from a job, something. And you think it's an embarrassment and people never they'll never get over it and they're going to talk about you forever. And this is what people think. People think when they make a mistake, people are going to talk about it at dinner and at lunch and at the water cooler and on the internet forever and ever. And the truth is they're not. Most people are so concerned with their own life. They might talk about you for an afternoon. They may talk about you for a weekend. But the benefit, just so you know, of the way the world works, everything moves so quickly. I mean, do you remember that white and gold or blue and black dress thing? It was incredible. It literally swept the entire nation. And in 24 to 48 hours, no one cared about it. So it went from the most interesting topic that was debated all over the internet to something that people don't even care about anymore in 2 days. So things move much, much more quickly. So if you ever do make a mistake or get embarrassed, I promise you, people aren't sitting around thinking about you as much as they are and having tribunals about how horrible and stupid and bad you are, This too shall pass. So I want to encourage you to realize that it's okay to make these mistakes that you're making and that you've made because this too shall pass. Gain something from it that'll stay with you, that'll benefit you and drive you. Just know that this too shall pass. So if you're in a bad place right now, if you're feeling a little bit down and you needed to hear this message, you're not going to be down forever. You're not. In the end, everything's going to be okay. So if it's not okay, it's not the end. And if you're really excited and you're in a really good place right now, just know that this too shall pass too. So you got to enjoy it and be present and appreciate it. Because there's so many stories of people who have something really great and then they don't value it, they don't appreciate it, whether it's people or things. And then when they're gone, they realize how much they really miss it and love it. So I encourage you, if things are going really good, to, embrace that moment. Hug your kids or your wife or your friends a little bit closer. Breathe a little more deeply. Be a little more present. I know it's something I constantly do, remind myself. I move around so much that I forget to be more present and slow down. So I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to apply this and realize that if you get too crazy, too down, or whatever, just say to yourself, this too shall pass. You'll see yourself in a much better place. So let me know what you think about this, y'all. I really want to know. So shoot me a message. Please leave a 5-star, subscribe. Oh my gosh, please subscribe if you haven't done so. Send an iTunes message. It means a lot to me. Hope it means something to you. It really helps way more than you'll ever know, honestly, with the metrics and the way that the podcast works. So I really want them, if we get a rush, like a blitz of folks leaving it, it shoots it up, it gets more visibility, more people get impacted. It's a beautiful thing. So you can make a difference. Please make that difference. Check out artoflikeability.com. We got tons of content there. We have the interview manual. We got the freshbooks.com/Arel. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up. And we always working on some stuff. But, ultimately, what's most important to me is that you realize that the information I share with you today don't mean anything. The implementation of this information will absolutely transform your life. I'm out of here, y'all. Sending you a big old high five. You are awesome.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast, The Art of Likeability, and reach out with any questions you have. Until next time, remember, my friend, you are awesome.